Climate change and rising energy demands affect us all. Now more than ever, it's become crucial to find sources of clean and sustainable energy. Join Dr. Shen, Yiyang, David Blair, and myself as we travel to Foshan in South China's Guangdong province, a city on the cutting edge of exploring the potentials of hydrogen energy. Here we'll see new developments in hydrogen energy production, storage, transportation, and most of all, the new applications that are revolutionizing the city toward a low-carbon lifestyle. Since 2017, over 1,000 hydrogen-powered vehicles have been put into operation in Nanhai district of the city, including shared electric bicycles, buses, trucks, boats, and trams. Trucks are a major source of air and noise pollution in many cities and require large amounts of fuel. I'm starting my journey in a dump truck equipped with a hydrogen fuel cell powering the engine.
我们现在就在里面兜一下啊。兜一下哈。好的，好的。
您开这个车多长时间了，师傅？
开了1年多了。
那你最大的感受和开这个柴油的这种卡车有什么区别呢？
最大感受开的比那个柴油车比较轻松、舒服、舒适啊。实际上开这个电车的话，你那个司机没有那么疲劳。
没那么疲劳。
对对对，
为什么呢？
因为你如果是油车的话呢，可能你要加油，还要减油还要挂档啊什么的忙，所以说我们存在疲劳的话，可能对安全的有影响啊。这个是白油的话，就是按说是零排放的了。
排放的水是吧？
对对对，排放出来是水。那个噪音呢是减少了，基本上是没有什么噪音了。
Hydrogen exists as an extremely flammable gas. It releases heat energy at about 3 times more than the energy released by fossil fuels such as coal and gasoline of the same mass. A fuel cell can convert the chemical energy directly into electrical energy, with conversion rates as high as over 90%, which is about twice that of fuel vehicles and electric vehicles, which in turn makes it extremely efficient. In Foshan, there are already 8 dump trucks with this technology.
我们目前这个车的话是110千瓦电堆功率。我们电堆可以过来这边看一下。电堆的话呢是在这个驾驶室的下方。对，跟我们传统的燃油车的位置是一致的。然后的话呢，它相较于传统的燃油车来说，会多了中间这样一个位置。
多了，这个是成那个
车的一个气瓶，就跟我们传统的燃油车来说的话，相当于是气的油箱。
这样放出来。那这个像这个电池堆，譬如说你平常这个运营维护啊，你觉得跟这个用这个柴油相比的话，
其实这个电堆对于我们来说是免维护的，对，
反而减少了这个维护的费用。
是的，是的。
First thing I noticed about it is how clean it is. If you had a diesel engine in a big truck like this, it would be covered with oil and grime.
Yeah.
And you know,
usually it's yeah.
You can see how much cleaner the engine is, and probably that means how much cleaner the environment is because of it.
对，如果是正常的燃油机来讲的话，会稍微有些温度，有些发热会传递到那个驾驶室，所以舒适性上面的话，其实我们的这个燃料电池加速车会比燃油车更好。
I read somewhere that about half of the vehicle pollutants in a city come from big trucks, and cars the other half, and big trucks half. So if you can solve that problem, that solves a lot of the pollution. So the air pollution within the city.
其实这个车的话，它唯一的排放就是纯净水，纯净水。所以的话，它会相较于我们之前的那些燃油车来说的话，对空气的一个污染度是没有那么高。
Among all this precision machinery and vibrant energy is where the magic happens. This is the fuel cell stack workshop, where they build the heart of the fuel cell stack. It's composed of some 300 to 500 single cells connected in series.
这边主要有我们三个流道：氢气、氧气还有水的。这个区域呢，主要是我们的气气会通过这个流道均布在这个整个反应区。这一片单电车的 功率就是300瓦，300瓦，这是我们9.2版本的。目前我们最新的是20.0版本的，它的整个的催化剂的面积啊比它更大。这个单片电池的功率啊会达到500瓦，通过大量的对叠就可以，比如说500片这个，那我们就能形成一个150千瓦的电堆。
市场怎么样？
目前咱们这个主要还是应用到商用车领域。商用车呢，现在全国呢是多点开花，像我们的重卡、环卫车、矿区的矿车，包括我们的港口码头的用车，都会逐步的会使用我们的氢燃料电池。所以说，这个市场呢，接下来也会在各个领域啊迎来一个爆发。
China's hydrogen energy industry is growing rapidly, especially in the transportation field. By the end of 2020, over 7,700 fuel cell vehicles had been deployed nationwide, which were mostly buses and trucks. According to a recent government plan, China hopes to have a fleet of 50,000 fuel cell vehicles across the country by 2025. Also needed are the hydrogen refilling stations necessary to fuel them and a renewable energy hydrogen production capacity of 100,000 to 200,000 tons per year. These targets mark yet another major step forward in China's commitment to large-scale development for the hydrogen energy sector.
As we all know that not just every province receive a kind of cap or say emission reduction target, every sector also receiving such kind of target. So for this environmental management sector, then they have their target to be achieved. So it's very good that with this support of hydrogen and fuel cell infrastructure, their green transition is happening.
During the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, the blue and white hydrogen fuel cell buses attracted a lot of attention. Though this may have seemed very high-tech and advanced, such buses have already been operating in Foshan for about 6 years. They look just like simple electric buses, but they have hydrogen gas tanks at the back.
你知道这个车是氢能这个燃料车吗？你觉得这个车怎么样？感觉？你觉得票价怎么样？这个票价跟其他的这个公交车的票价相比呢？可以，没有什么感觉到有任何区别吗？
Feels like any other bus, which I guess is the purpose.
I think for daily operation, you not only need a kind of reliable bus, can just go around all the lines, but also you need a very reliable infrastructure for like recharging.
Recharging is certainly the lifeblood that supports these vehicles. By December 2022, you could find about 1,000 hydrogen refilling stations around the world, with about 1/3 of them in China. As outlined in the major government plan, China aims to build over 1,000 hydrogen refilling stations by 2025. And 10 years after that, the goal is to have at least 5,000 such stations across the country. Here we are at the Ruihui Hydrogen Station, China's first commercially operated hydrogen refilling station. It began operation in 2017 and has a daily hydrogen supply capacity of approximately 800 kilograms.
我们首先呢就琢磨那个静电球，第二步呢就砸那个静电闸。
像这样一辆车，这是这个环卫哈，加满需要多长时间？
一般都是12到15分钟。
这个是总共是加多少公斤气？
这个是看里面的气瓶，这里是有6个瓶来的，每个瓶就4公斤，理论加满就24公斤。
那一般的要跑多远？
它一般这个车都是跑300多公里。
我听说对于环卫车辆还有公交这个 bus 的话，那么它的这个价格是有补贴的。他们的加氢的价格是每公斤多少钱的？
是这样，我们南海区是有这补贴的。如果符合补贴的话呢，有拿到我们南海区的补贴价呢，我们就是采购价多少钱，卖出去也是多少钱。
那采购价是多少？
采购价现在是 45块3毛5。
如果没有补贴是多少钱呢？
没有补贴就统一80块钱。
If a truck comes in and they want to fill up, is that cheaper or more expensive than if they're a diesel truck?
如果跟我们的汽油或者柴油相比的话，我们如果每公斤30块钱呢，基本都齐平，就这样。最主要是我们的那个采购价呢
，45现在
我们是平卖出去的嘛。
那你们的目标是将来要把这个价格降到什么？
我们的目标是30块钱，我们现在都可以做到35的。
The price of hydrogen is influenced by different factors, such as the cost of hydrogen production, transportation, and storage. Ideally, green electricity can be used to produce inexpensive hydrogen. But in the near future, industrial byproduct hydrogen and natural gas reforming hydrogen will be the main supplies for these refilling stations. But government subsidies may be a major way to speed up development.
The subsidies are not unique. If you look at most technologies over time, most new technologies, they received significant subsidies. You know, if you look at the growth of the integrated circuit industry, largely in Silicon Valley in the United States, it had no civilian use when it started. So the primary customer was the space program back in the 1960s and the Defense Department later. And that's the kind of subsidy which the industry would have never survived if it hadn't received that subsidy over a 30-year period, really. So this is not in any way unique to hydrogen power, that it needs a period of sort of infant growth before it becomes self-sustaining.
But hydrogen energy is not limited to transportation. It's being tried elsewhere, such as in experimental fish ponds, where new methods of fish farming are taking place.
卢先生，我想问一个这个特别初级的问题哈，就你们怎么想起来用这个清水去养鱼呢？
就是氢气是一种抗氧化剂，然后呢，它有那个消灭自由基，然后消炎的这样的一个作用。然后呢，有大量的 paper 呢，就是证明了，就是它对那个动植物都有促进的效果。那我们就想，它对鱼类有没有帮助呢？所以呢，从2020年开始呢，我们就联合科研院所一起进行这个清水来养殖鱼的这样的一个研究。对，最后呢，就是发现用富清水养出来的鱼呢，能够使鱼类降低它的应激性，然后呢，提高它的免疫力，使鱼更加健康。同时呢，也能够使养殖水呢，就是得到很好的净化效果。
Oh, that's a good selling point.
那这有个技术问题哈，就是这个氢呢，它很容易会发的是吧？
对，没错。
你怎么让它打到水里面，让它在这个鱼可以在比较长的时间，比如说生活在一个环境中？
我们采用了一个叫做纳米气泡的这样的技术。
纳米气泡。
对，大概原理呢，其实就是将我们普通水里面的气泡呢，就是通过纳米切割的方式呢，把它打小到100到1000倍，成了微纳米级别。
OK。
到了这个级别的时候呢，气泡就有2种新的特性。第一种呢，它就是单位体积内能够容纳更多的气体。然后第二的话呢，就是它，这个气泡不是马上冒出水面就跑掉了，而是在水里面做无规则的运动。所以这样用纳米气泡技术做出来的这个富氢水呢，它的那个氢浓度更加高，持续时间更加长。
In this aquatic oasis, the owner had shown us the local specialty, boiled fish, which stands out from regular fish because it was cultivated in a pond that used hydrogen-infused water.
This is a good example of the importance of small businesses serving the domestic market.
And also ecotourism, small hotels.
Yeah.
Maybe the young people from Guangzhou will come here.
Yeah.
So create a new model for people to get rich.
From buses to fish farms and now to the living room, this is the nation's first hydrogen-powered smart energy demonstration community. It brings together new technology and equipment from China, Japan, and South Korea. Hydrogen power for your home. These devices convert the town's pipeline gas into hydrogen, which is then used in fuel cells to generate electricity and hot water for the home. Unlike traditional generators, fuel cells operate based on demand. If the device doesn't produce enough power, then power can be obtained from the state grid. If the device generates too much power, it can be sold back to the grid. With a high energy conversion efficiency of 92% in the fuel cells, it is 45% cheaper than electricity from the grid and fuel from the gas network.
这边就是我们燃油电池的控制系统。那么我在系统上能看到，现在我们家庭的整体的能源用量是1000瓦，就是包括我们的空调还有这个照明的用电。那么从我燃油电池设备现在是这个逐渐提升功率，现在是0.4千瓦来供电。那么我每小时从气网里边用0.07方每小时的这个气，这个不足的电由电网来补，就是0.6千瓦是由电网来补足的。那么我们现在把这个我们室内的空调关闭，这样的话我们室内的功率就会下降。功率下降的话，那么我们从这个电网取的电就降低了。我燃油电池功能也会跟随着降低，它是完全符合我们这个消耗的负荷的。
The plan includes building devices that align with the specific needs of local Chinese households. Also, there's a large factory about 2 kilometers south where they plan to place solar panels on the roof to generate more green electricity to produce green hydrogen. A 2-kilometer-long pipeline will directly supply the community with the pure hydrogen gas.
那么一期工程是用这个天然气，虽然说减了50%碳，但是还是有一定碳排放。那么二期我们有纯氢之后，就用这个氢气进入到设备里边之后，我就不再需要这个排碳了，整个社区就是完全的零碳的社区。同时，我也不再需要缴纳燃气费了，就电费和燃气费全都不需要缴纳了，这个都是由这边光伏来供应的。这样就形成了一个局域的能源微网。
The world has made amazing progress in untapping the heating power of hydrogen. Though there are still challenges ahead and even doubts, the promise it holds for the energy sector make all these efforts worth it. We have met people and visited places about hydrogen development over the past couple of days. David, what impressed you the most?
I'd like to put it in context of China's overall development and the transformational issues that are facing China going forward. Especially in this area in Guangdong, we're seeing a need to transform China's economic model. This investment in a new technology is one example, one among many, where the area is looking for new products, much higher value-added products that take advantage of the new, more highly skilled labor force. That's one thing that's happening. The other thing is, as China, like every country in the world, is facing a situation where it needs to transform its energy usage. We have relied for a long time on fossil fuels, and nobody thinks we can do that indefinitely into the future. So the world needs to explore various options. There's various kinds of nuclear, there's better use of fossil fuels, there's solar, there's wind, there's all sorts of options. And this is another possible path. And I think it's great that this area is exploring that path. We don't know the end result, 20 years from now, which approach is going to be most economical and which is going to be most productive. But this is clearly an investment that needs to be made as one of many more investments that the world is making to try to explore energy options.
So, Dr. Shen, from your understanding, what motivates China and also the provincial governments and the governments, for example, in Foshan, to invest so much, policy-wise, and also, of course, a lot of related efforts, as well as subsidies, to push for the development of a new form of energy here?
Well, my personal view is that I think from the central government to local government, and also, from all these kind of industry sectors, everybody knows the old development path was not very sustainable, and it consumed a lot of raw material, a lot of, fossil fuel or other resources. So that means green development is definitely the way China should take. So China also have this 2060 carbon neutral target. That also, give China very ambitious a kind of driving force. At the same time, it is not a very easy target. I think Chinese industry sectors are now thinking about CCUS. So this kind of comparing with CCUS, hydrogen and fuel cell, this is much easier way and much cost-effective way.
David, what are the challenges looking ahead?
You're right, there are challenges, and I'm generally skeptical of anything, but it might not be that hydrogen is the best solution for passenger cars. It might not be, it might be, I don't know. But if it solves the truck and bus problem, that's a big contribution in and of itself.
But of course, with all the advantages, there is a challenging. For example, you want to refuel your tanks. It's about the price. People would say whether it is too expensive for me to continue to consume hydrogen instead of diesel and other forms of fossil fuels.
I think now because of lacking business model, so you see a lot of government-owned bus fleet or this environmental management department, their trucks can be subsidized by the government, and their cost of operation is cheaper. But I think in the future, when the trucks become cheaper and the new business models like leasing rather than buy the trucks can be used. This was true, when 10 years ago the electric buses as a very early stage of commercialization. So it works. I think for the fuel cell vehicles, the same. And also the awareness raising should be done. So more and more consumers will be realizing that this new type of trucks, new type of buses is the same at the same level of convenience, and also the cost is coming down. I think people will accept that.
Moving on from vehicle to say the ambitious plan to have the hydrogen energy entering into, they say thousands of households here. That's the idea. It's also part of the program, jointly developed by the local government and also UNDP. And also you see, companies from China, from Japan, from South Korea, they're working together to help realize that kind of a plan.
Well, I think in the meantime, it's only a demonstration project. So, however, in this region, the Foshan, Nanhai, this region, there's a clear, a very good enabling environment for such kind of technology to be developed. If we take a look at the local governments, there's a plan called 2018 to 2030 Hydrogen Energy Development Plan. That's, I think, the best roadmap I have seen, comparing with even some developing countries, as a local government roadmap. So this is very ambitious and, very smart, and also, with a lot of, support under this roadmap. So such kind of support will give a lot of business opportunity and so-called enabling environment to come here to try, because a lot of basic infrastructure for hydrogen, future already been here. So that's why they can try here.
Globally, not only China but also other countries, obviously they are also focusing on, partially, let's say, on the fuel cell, the road probably to deal with the climate change or to lower the emissions. For example, Germany is one of them. It has recently updated its national hydrogen strategy, aiming to double the 2030 target for domestic capacity of electrolyzers to produce green hydrogen made from renewable energy to 10 gigawatts. So, what's the consideration of such let's say, doubling of targets of 2030?
Well, I think even a few years ago, EU have released its so-called European Green Deal. So that's a great, how to say, plan to promote the green development in the whole Europe. And also that plan with budget. So there are budgets supporting them. So now, because of the political instability in Europe, I think it's increased, many European countries, how to say, their willingness to develop clean energy. So if, hydrogen and the fuel cell technology being further, used in different sectors, because they have already banned coal and many, fossil fuel. Yeah, some countries, even some very good technology like IGCC were banned in some European countries. So, so I think hydrogen could be one of their best paths. So I'm not quite sure, in the future, how much they can invest immediately. So this investment will be in a 10 years period or within 5 years. But definitely, they think this is a good choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, France, of course, thinking of this Paris 2024 Olympic Games, they're going to have a parade of hydrogen like vehicles for the use of that event. I mean, yes, countries are looking at hydrogen, as a fuel of the future. Last words, David. How long, say, if we are going to realize to build our society more or less on the hydrogen energy?
I can't give any dates or anything of that sort, of course, but as I said earlier, the world has problems, and some of those problems,
we need to solve that problem.
Some of those problems a lot of the problems are energy related. I mean, we're seeing China making a transition. Europe is in a very serious problem with future energy sources. Yeah. And so hydrogen probably, I think, feels a significant part of solving that problem. And that's the future. I think we're probably, there may be some new technology invented 10 years from now, who knows, that I haven't thought of. Fusion could work or something like that. But most likely, to solve the energy problems of the world is going to require a very diverse mix of energy sources. So we're not relying on one type of energy. And I think hydrogen probably is a significant part of that mix that we'll end up with.
From powering homes and cars to revolutionizing agriculture, hydrogen has emerged as a likely game changer in our quest for a sustainable future. If we can continue this path, a hydrogen society may be within reach in just a few decades.